people are fighting with each other, road rage, all this other stuff. I was sitting here like, perhaps instead of doing a Valentine's Day of like how to be close with the closest people, it's like, let's take a page from Jesus with the parable of the Good Samaritan and say it's like the love for others. And so it's like, and then I was talking with Levia for the topic for today, is love just for the family and friends? So it's like, so we're sitting here thinking about it. It's like, no, it's not. We live our lives. We have all of our friends and families, but then we also have our co-workers and many other, all these other people around us. So I don't know if you can see this. If we need to turn off this, thank you. But so I was doing my research, and for me, the gospel seems to be the one that always drew me in the most, because I'm trying to live the moral life. That was always my personal plan. So I went through and I found this, and it's like basically the commandments that were sent to us. O Spiritists, love one another. This is the first teaching. Educate yourselves. This is the second. Well, we're here tonight for the second part. But we have to keep and remember that first part, love one another. So for the most part, I was taking this lecture and saying, like, we go to reach out to help other people. But maybe it's not just, like, we have the caravan of love, we have the assistance to the homeless, we have all these other activities we do to help people. But what if it don't need to go there? Maybe we can share the love within this room, within this center, within our communities, within our other smaller, like other types of groups, because there is a lot of pain, there is a lot of suffering going out there, and we are educating ourselves. We're reading the books, we're reading the codification, we're reading the Andre Louis books. Now we're like Happy Life, or the Joanna de Angelis, Leon Denis, Emmanuel. So many series of books to read and learn from, that we can find examples that apply to our life. But we also have to come to the point where we need to start putting some action to it. And that was always something that was impressed on me, is all this time that I've been studying and learning, there was always that call as we read. You read a section in the Gospel, Spirit's book, and everything else, even like the Emmanuel book, Paul and Stephen. It's like there's a call to action. There's a call to work. There's a time to love each other. So if you don't mind, just turn this slide off here for a second. That perfect. I pulled an old photo from my old center. So this is Amore Luz, Love and Light in Newark. And this was our English group here. So we had, the thing why I'm bringing it up is it's not like I'm here. I'm an American born, not a like I've only been to Brazil 3 times for vacations. Love it. It feels like a second home to me. But it was interesting because here I've got American, Brazilian, American, Brazilian. We're in this class together. We're learning, we're sharing, we're coming together as a group to pass on our knowledge, pass on our things. I got a compliment today. We had a lovely young lady come in, and she came in and wanted a hug, and I remember that in Brazil you always give at least 1 kiss on the cheek. So some places 2 and some places 3, but
this is just Dilma.
So, but at least, but it's one of those things that when I was introduced to not just the Spiritism itself, but to the Brazilian culture, that was always something that appealed to me. That loving embrace when you meet someone for the first time, total stranger, or even just a friend or anything else. The way that the Brazilian culture came, and they would give everyone a big hug and a kiss on the cheek. Something that wasn't, because people have told me, Americans tend to be cold, because we always say they're like far away handshake. But then but then you go to these other cultures, and it's that warm embrace. It's like, come on in. Your family, your friends, your thing. They're sharing that love with you. And I keep wondering if if that's probably something we need to do a lot more of, especially after the time of the pandemic when we were kind of separated away. We were hiding behind masks, 6 feet separation. And now I was feeling this time, it's like we've kind of forgotten how we were before that, when we used to come in and be more warm and inviting and intermingle. Because then that was like they were saying, like, especially when in American history, they always talk about America was a melting pot. But it kind of became a mosaic somewhere along the way. People started being in their own little groups, little enclaves, and they forgot to share and be amongst others so they can pass on ideas. It's like people here will probably start laughing as soon as it's like, because people wondering, I was like, well, what's one of your favorite Brazilian foods? I say coxinha. And then that's like, and so I was like, coxinha. I was like, yeah, no catupiry. I like mine because the ones that they made, they had the seasoned chicken. But I was like, but I don't know how to make it. I love it. It's a great little treat. And then you hear the story behind it. How it was there to people, say like here for the poor or something like that. They would like fry up a little meat and they'd throw the meat inside and fry it up real quick. So it was actually somewhat nutritious because they didn't just give you here's a piece of bread. It's a piece of bread, but they put a little bit of meat inside, a little bit of something extra. And that's kind of what I was thinking here with this whole the concept of love. It's like, what was the type of person to be that's come up with the idea of a coxinha, to sit there and say, it's like, I don't know who you are, but I love you enough. I'm not just going to give you bread. I'm going to give you something extra. Or for those that love catupiry, 2 things extra. So, and then I went back, as I'm doing my research and things like this, I was going into the Spirits book. And unfortunately, I couldn't, as hard as I tried, I could not boil this one down any further, down to bullet points. There was just too much in it. Best I could do was underline one section. That was it. But it was, again, it's going back to the golden rule. Do unto others whatsoever you would want them to have do unto you. God has placed this in the human heart, the rule of all true justice. God could not give you a safer guide than your own conscience. Now, in those 3 dots, I kind of took out the part where it's like that the Spirit's knowing where humanity was in progress. It was that time to turn around and says, hey, we know you guys are not perfect and you're still learning. You're still very much in elementary school in terms of moral development, maybe even kindergarten. But this is the time, but they were saying like, we're teaching this to you in this statement, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It allows you to apply a selfish filter. Where it's like, so when you start applying to other people, you can say like, you can sit there and say like, well, what do I want to have them do to me? Put your me. Well, start thinking about it. And then this is like, okay, you're thinking about me. What do you want? And then they'd say, do unto others. Reflect it. What do you want? So I was like, I'm sitting here thinking about it and kind of reflecting back on my past and everything else. And it's like most people, it's probably been very, very rocky. It's had its ups and downs. And one of the things that's been that's been personal to me is I care about other people. I try to help people to the best of my ability, especially my close friends and things like this. And when I sat and thought about it before, and kind of led into why I picked this as a topic, it was sitting there saying, it's like, for a person I really care about, I show affection to them. And I'm trying to show affection to them as I want the affection to come back to me. I care for that person as much as I want that person to care about me. So I was like, if I'm sitting there helping a friend that fell and I'm taking them to the hospital or something like that, then I'm hoping that if I get in the position where I have to go to the hospital, I'm hoping someone, if not that same person, someone would be there for me to take me to the hospital. A story from, again, from my previous center, it was, they actually, a case of this in point is someone didn't come to the center, and we were wondering what happened, because she used to come every week. She missed it one time, and it was because she had a flat tire. And this is in like January, up north, snow, cold, everything else. She didn't know how to change a tire. She was going to call AAA. Well, up there, you call AAA, you have to wait about 2 hours. Longer, because this was after 5 o'clock. So they would have to get somebody, have them come, get the truck, and everything else. So she was looking at about a 3-hour wait. Some guy pulled over, picked her up, took the bad tire, drove her over, and they took it to like Costco or someplace like that, had them change the tire right then and there, and drove her back with the tire, and he put the tire on her car himself. Total stranger, didn't know who it was and everything else. And she asked him, was like, why did you help me? And she says, I have a daughter that's younger than you. And I want someone to take care of her if she has a breakdown, as I have taken care of you. So, true story. So we have to start thinking about our others, not just like the people in this room, the people in our jobs and everything else. We're supposed to be all in this together. Humanity is meant to be a social. We're supposed to interact. We're supposed to be part of each other's. We're not gonna agree all the time. We're gonna have our disagreements. We may fight or clash, at least. But the idea is like, we can disagree, but that's okay. We may not see eye to eye, but that's all right. You are valued. You have your opinion. I have my opinion. We can go on. We can live our lives. It is not so bad that we have to be, as you were mentioning in your little production things, like we introduce the bad music and things, so we change the water crystals within our bodies to be something other than perfect or beautiful. I do remember studying that stuff, and as I remember, even there was talking about they were one of the scariest ones was they were talking about telling the water to commit suicide. They froze the water, got the water crystal, and it came with the shape of a person with a gun in the crystal itself. It was scary to see, but like you said, it's like that having that uplifting music. We have like the music we have when we came in today, or that we have when we go into the past room afterwards.
Why don't you explain to them about this experiment?
I did.
He did, yes.
Just now?
Yeah.
No, in his when he was talking about happy life, he
Because people don't understand. This is a very, very
it is.
fantastic.
It is. It's
Especially because we need 75% of it.
yes. So, but I know you're busy.
Yeah, it's very good.
It is. Maybe there'll be one or that'll be a topic for another time from, if not me, or another wonderful lecturer that we have. We've got so many wonderful lecturers here. But getting back to it, it was one of these things where I was discussing just how much it needs to be that we have to focus on each other. I don't know what's going on in your life. And you don't know what's going on in my life. We have our fraternal assistance program here. We have these things, but there is times when we could reach out to someone from another group to sit there and say, "Hey, we have a person here that needs assistance with this, or this." Like, it may not even be financial, medical, or something like that. It could be something saying, "Hey, I've been trying to find another weird personal example. It's like I got my apartment. I needed to put a decoration on the wall, so I got a painting. Went over to Home Goods, found a painting. It's like sailboats and everything else. It matches great with all the decorum and the apartment and everything else, but it's not me. I love mountains. I love trees. I love waterfalls. I like lakes. Green is my favorite color. Everything in that one is predominantly blue. So I'm like sitting here saying like, and I've been searching around high and low looking for a piece of art that's more me. Kind of hard in Florida. Everything is beach oriented. You got seashells, beaches, sunsets, manatees, dolphins, all kinds of beautiful things. Very beautiful. But it's not me. It's not something I want to put on my wall. So I'd be sitting there asking, like, and I know we have a wonderful painter in the audience. I was like, do you have a painting of a waterfall or something that I could buy, purchase, or it's like, you know what? I've been inspired to paint this. I'll just slap one together for you. And then in a month or two, all of a sudden I get this wonderful painting. I have no idea. I'm not but it's something they're saying is like, I have a need. There's a possibility someone, not just my immediate circle, not my smallest of circles, but my medium circle, my large circle, eventually the whole world, they would have the answer. I'll pull it back into even with Spiritism. We've had some wonderful mediums in the last century. Chico, Xavier, and we had Divaldo Franco. Chico especially, because he was not a medium for just one spirit. He channeled hundreds, maybe thousands of spirits through him. Divaldo, even though Joanna de Angelis is prominent through him, it's not the only one. So if there is a question, if there's a topic, and Joanna doesn't have the answer as a spirit, she's sitting there and says, well, I know a spirit that could maybe help. And then she brings in Miranda and has him come in and writes, and he answers a question. We start looking and we see that there's people around us that may have the answer or have a way to reflect back to us. And we need to start thinking about opening ourselves up to saying, maybe we can help them. Something that there's a skill or something, like today I would leave you. We're coming up with the topic for today. My original one was Love Exists Amongst Us, which is a book I saw on my shelf, and I was like, I like that title. And I ran with it, and she's like, no. We need something else, something that challenges. So her and I worked together. There was a mutual love saying, hey, I want to help you have a better title for your lecture. I want to make my lecture to be the best it can possibly be. I can maybe reach out to this young gentleman in front of me, and he can give me great advice on how I can be a better speaker. Like, I personally hate being behind this podium. I like to walk around.
Go for it.
We don't have our gentleman with the lovely portable mic. Probably the mic's back there, but I don't think our gentleman's ready for it. And as they talk, they don't like chasing me around because they have to move the camera. So I'm being nice to them. I'm showing love to them, knowing that they have a very hard to do, and it's a volunteer job. They're doing it out of the kindness of their heart. I'm up here speaking out of the kindness of my heart. I'm doing this out of love. There's no, like, Spiritism especially, it's written in the codification itself. We are not supposed to get money for this. Give freely what has been given. What's freer than love? Knowledge is earned. The love is already within you. It's your own it's like your own spiritual energy. So you share that love. It comes from within. You have it in you. Every single human being on this planet and every spirit has that capacity to love. We know it. We're working towards it. We just need to refine it, make it better. We love, but we're loving conditionally. Like it says, Valentine's Day is coming up, so I was writing a letter to a special young lady, and I was writing in there where I loved her unconditionally. And I was reflecting back on it, because it's like, we fought. She said things that are hurtful. I probably have done the same thing to her. We're not together, but I still love her anyway. I wish her the best. I wish her the happiness. But I'm sitting here thinking about it, it's like, there's no conditions on it. And I look back at Jesus. Jesus loved us unconditionally too. All of us. From adulterers, thieves, Jew, Gentile, blind. He talked to us all. He loved us all. And and he's our greatest example. We are supposed to be more like him to the best of our ability. Yes, we're going to fall short of the mark, but at least we should always try. I should be able to go and even if I don't know everyone's name here tonight, and especially everyone that's watching this over the internet, I won't know you, but if I do meet you, I want to be able to give you that warm embrace, that warm hug. I don't know how many people saw when Julio was here and he first walked in the door. It was like right around the time we had to hurry up and race in to get the meeting. I gave him the biggest hug ever because I haven't seen him in years. But it was like, and it was great to see him again after so long. And we quickly try to pass on to what we had to do, but of course, it's like the lecture had to start and I had to bring him up there, and I fumbled a few things, like forgetting the opening prayer. So, but it was like I was just so wrapped up in the moment of seeing someone I missed, an old friend, someone I knew from way back when, and I got to see him again, and I recognized him, and I was like, "Welcome, big hug." So and the funny thing is when I was going through the Spirit's book, looking on love, it was strange that justice, this was in the law of justice, part of the Spirit's book. It's kind of an interesting place to put love. But maybe not. You start thinking about, like I said, we're trying to show love to our others and everything else. And as I mentioned earlier before, it's like, even if you have a fight with someone, if you still love that person, you're not going to try to hurt them. I mean, you may say the hurtful words and everything else because you let your emotions run wild, but you're not going to physically beat them. You're not going to try to hurt them and anything else like that because you do actually love them. You may not get along with your brother or sister, aunt, uncle, whoever in your family, but you don't wish them ill will. You don't wish them harm. So it's like saying they took at that for justice. When we put that with the law of justice in here, it's like when you start thinking about it, and especially a lot of the laws in today, the purest laws that we have are built on with this value of love in between. That there's meant to be a set of love. You look at the 10 Commandments. There's that element of love in every commandment. You do not steal. I don't want something stolen from me, so why should I steal from you? I don't want to bear false witness against my neighbor. I don't want to lie just so they get hurt or they get swindled out of something, because I don't want that to happen to me. So, and then you start looking at all the other laws we have out there. It's like we talk about like crazy things like taxation and stuff like that. It's like, oh, the rich needs to pay taxes and all this other stuff. But forget about what you hear in the public, but at least put the context of love to it. It's like we're asking for everyone to share a little bit of their wealth to build for the finances for a country or a city, community, whatever. Even the Lord put a tithe, 10% to the Jews in the Old Testament, saying, hey, this way that can support the church, synagogues, the temple, and everything else. So he's asking, and then that's a communal pot. That's that we can like this. But now, if you instead of doing that with money, put that with love. When you're traveling down the road and you see the speed limit and everything else, most people think speed limit's just a guide. It's not. It's not a rule.
It is? Wait, hold on. I've been doing it wrong.
Well, well, being an engineer, a civil engineer at that, they were put in for a purpose. They're there to do. They're there. They convey a little bit of information, and like they're saying, like, hey, the highway, 70 miles an hour. There's nothing to bother you. You're free to go, but we know your vehicle probably is not a Lamborghini or a Maserati that can go 150 miles an hour. And our roads aren't built like the Autobahn in Europe. So we're saying here, it's safe enough for you to go faster, but we can't let you go this because we didn't make the roads to handle things going faster than this. Or there's usually a little fluff factor in there. There's always be a little conservative and add some. Part of it is like as the speed limits at one time highest was 55, they bumped it up to 65. Now it's 70 in Florida. There's places around that's like 80, and I think there's even a road in Montana that they took off the speed limit. It says go as fast as it goes as what you deem safe. So. But then again, you go in the city. You don't go 70 in the city. 35. Why? There's people, there's businesses, there's more cars, there's things else. You need more time to react. Well, so let's go back to the topic at hand. Isn't that a sign of love? That the speed limit is as low as it is because we're trying. That it's like a show of love, saying, "Hey, we value you in this community. That we're saying you should not go this fast because of things in this thing. You need time to react. It's not safe, if not for you in the vehicle, safe for those around on the road to be near you. If you're flying through a residential zone at 70 miles an hour, it's not safe for the kids. You may lose a ball. It may not be safe for the pets. It may not be safe for anything. But that's why we say slow it down. Make it 25. That way it's built to sit there and say, like, okay, this is the compromise. This is the love. Like, we know you love your vehicles. We know you want to go out and run around and get where you need to be. But this is also saying, hey, this is a sign of love that's saying, hey, there's people around. There's children around. Please slow down. And that way, it's like we always develop more and more rules. So going with a little bit of the justice thing here, we change our signs. We put, like, for the school zones, they're that very fluorescent yellow. It's the only place it's allowed. Everywhere else they have that other yellow. But school zones is that special fluorescent yellow to make it extra special and saying, hey, this is for children. This is show more love. We put more love, care, and attention to change a sign to be this different color yellow so that you would recognize it and say, this is different. And it triggers in your mind saying, hey, this is something different. I should treat this a little differently. And that's when you're supposed to slow down for the school zones, because you got all the children out there, and you don't want them to get hurt. It's like it says, you're trying to show love, and it's like you love your children, so love the children at the school, even if they're not yours. Love the fact that there are children. Love the fact that there are people that care about them. Love the fact that there are people in all different walks of life that actually do care. The chefs that they love their job. They love to create these masterpieces. They love cooking. They can come up with the craziest and wonderful sensations, mixing all different ingredients up. They love it, and they share that love with you. Like it says, we have our artist. He loves to paint, and he creates these wonderful works of art that it's like he does it out of joy. He does it out of love. And people loved seeing it. They love seeing his work. We have other people here that have wonderful professions. Like recently I did the Caravan of Love here in Orlando, and people were shocked when they realized that it was my first time doing it, and there was the people there that they come together and they sing. And for the most part, and then, like, it was my first time, but they didn't realize that even though it was for elderly people in the home, they were using American songs from the 50s, 60s, and things like this. And they didn't realize that I did singing from sixth grade through college. I was in the choirs. So I learned a lot of those songs. So all of a sudden they're up there performing and dancing and singing along. And here I am out there being amongst the people, and I'm singing with them. Maybe not as well as them, because I said, that was college. It's been a few years since I've been in those hallowed halls. But I still love to sing. Again, there's that word again, love. So it's something I like to share. I may be not the greatest, I may not be good, but I do love to sing. And if there was me and a few other people that would get together as a quartet or bigger, if we all had to share that love of singing, we'll sing. And we'll have a grand old time. We'll come together through that shared experience of singing. So,
You just gave me a great idea.
oh, I know.
I don't, but I think we could get together and go for
Well.
singing, playing, and having fun.
Well, I'm going to throw another curveball at you. I picked this picture for a purpose. It's February. That's a Thanksgiving picture. Why did I pick Thanksgiving? Because it's showing the blending of two cultures. The blending of two totally different peoples. As I mentioned at the beginning, one of the greatest things that I loved when I got introduced to Spiritism, especially the center I was at, was that community. We would, even though we had our little English room off to the side, the Portuguese group was doing they would have the big lecture hall. So kind of like here. Portuguese would be in here. The English group would be in a smaller room off to the side. But it would be done at the same time. We'd both have our own separate little lectures. But then we would come together at the end for passes. And then we would have a communal area in the middle where there would be the coxinhas, empanadas, and a lot of Brazilian snack foods and things of that nature that we can all learn and share. And occasionally they would throw in the pizzas, American pizzas. It's like they didn't have a good Brazilian pizzeria up there like they do down here. So there would be this time to share, and we would sit and mingle and talk, and we'd converse about our days. And I reflect on it. I missed it. I actually missed that opportunity. It was one of the greatest things when we had the Christmas event here. We brought not 3 but 4 centers together for a communal event. We had people playing that went for other centers on the stage. Even though like we kind of did separate and stayed in our little areas, peace and knowledge was here, plenitude was here, and then the other two centers were mixed in everything else. But the greatest thing is I got up and I started walking around, and I started introducing myself to people and everything else. I actually got to meet people from the adjacent centers, and so much so that I'm here for this lecture now, but on Mondays, they have for their English group they do the Spirits book, so I joined on another center's study of the Spirits book. My center from New Jersey, they do the Spirits book on Sunday, so 2 days a week I'm studying the Spirits book. One's at the very end of the book, the other one's towards the beginning of the book. If I wasn't here today, they would be having. My center up in New Jersey was doing self-discovery, doing a class, starts in 20 minutes. So I would join in and be with that group. I'm interfacing with groups from all over. Then we have like the Spiritist Federation. They have their lectures on Saturday. They just started doing a couple new ones out there that I've been trying to jump in and be a part of. And it's like, and we've got this lovely Florida conference coming up here, the Florida Federation here in mid-March. I'm looking forward to going to that because I get to go meet people. I get to go see friends that I've made at other centers. I remember when I came in here the very first time. Boy, it's been almost 2 years ago, or a year and a half. I came in, and Livia was here, and I recognized her face instantly. She forgot mine, but because it's been a few years. But I remember her, and I was like, this was going to be a great place to be, because I know somebody. At least I know one person, and this was going to be a wonderful center to come, because I just moved, so this is my first time being somewhere else. But it was a chance for me to sit there and say, you know what? I had that family back in New Jersey. I have this family in Orlando. I recently moved to Sarasota, and I took an idea that they gave me at the symposium in Houston a few months ago. They says, you know what? There is no center in Sarasota.
That's right.
I can either start one, but I don't know if it's just right now. It's just me. I have no idea if there's other interest or people interested in it there. But they gave me another option. Take this opportunity and go and travel. Visit all the other centers. I met this young gentleman over at the center in Tampa a month or two ago. So we were over there, and it was funny. We didn't get the message that it was closed for the day. So him and I have a lecture in the parking lot outside. Just him and I having a talk. We basically had our own one-on-one spiritist lecture conversation. It was great. I love the share of ideas. And it's one of the great things about coming to these lectures and hearing other people speak. What are their ideas? How do they interpret? They see something. So I want to start wrapping things up, so I only got a couple slides left. And thankfully now I got back on track to where I keep things simple, following the KISS principle. But this time I actually deviated and didn't stick with the normal books. I actually went to Joanna DeAngelis. And I kind of, when I made a mistake in my last lecture here, is I remember at the symposium they introduced Joanna DeAngelis did 2 books that they did as a panel discussion. And so I went and I had those 2 books. The first one's Empty Lives. So I went to that one, and it was sitting here, and it had, in both books, they talked about love. Here in Empty Lives, for those that are going through pain, suffering, everything else, Joanna DeAngelis came in chapter 5, wrote, "Awaken to true love." You're hurting, you're in pain, you're suffering, but you have that love within you. Awaken it. Let it grow, let it blossom. And maybe it may be a seed right now, but it will slowly grow. And going on back with the topic of love, walk with those who live in solitude. Just like the parable of the Good Samaritan. Person was fallen down, he was left aside. People walked right past him, didn't care for him. And a total stranger came in and helped him up and picked him up and says, "Here, I will take care of you." Takes him to the inn, pays the innkeeper, says, "Here, give him whatever he needs. If it runs out, when I'll be back this way in a few days, I'll pay the rest." He took care of someone. You see a person walking down the street, or even here. I look around in this room right now. I see a bunch of people that are sitting by themselves. Some because, as I'm finding out, they're manning the lights. Some, we got one gentleman standing by himself because he's monitoring the camera. But we have others here that are alone. But what are they alone for? Are they being shy? Are they is there something else going on in their life? Or it's like they say they're hurting right now. And they're kind of like saying, "Stay." It's like, you guys are having a wonderful time. I'm hurting. I'm sad. I'm here, but I'm not. I'm sitting away. I'm staying far, far apart. And I read, especially when I saw this, one of the biggest reasons why I put it in there was it's like, maybe because they're by themselves, that's actually a call for help. And if I should show love to them, because I know I can speak from my own personal experience. It's like, I've been hurting, I've been sad, I've been alone. Levy knows it more than probably most people in this room. We've been talking about that a little bit. But, and she had me do a few things. She had me come in one weekend. She asked me to come in and help out with the helping the homeless, to bring me back in, and says, "Hey, you shouldn't be alone. We understand you're hurting and everything else. Please come with us. Let us do things together. Walk with those that live in solitude." They may be on their own for a reason, but they shouldn't have to be. Maybe it's just because they may be going through something, but they really shouldn't be left totally alone. Yeah, you may have to give them some time, let them some space to heal, go through something, but check in on them from time to time. Saying, "Are you sure you're okay? Is there something I can do for you? Can I bring you something?" Show love to someone else. Invest in those who yearn for love. Again, this one talks to me personally. As I mentioned earlier, it's like, I show affection because that's what I want in return. That may not be what I get back, but I still show it. I will reach out, I will hug and everything else. And some people may return it, some people may not. I'm doing unto others as I want them to do unto me. I'm loving others as I want to be loved. So I'm investing in others because I also yearn for that love. I yearn to be loved. But I'm investing in others because that's what I want. So, again, another picture from my old center. Again, this is, like I said, the communal center where we bring everybody together, and you can see we're doing the same thing. They bring musicians and we play a little bit. And I think this is actually, I don't think this was a special event, but we were all getting together and enjoying each other's company. Brazilian, American, Portuguese, whatever, Spanish speaking. We all came together and enjoyed each other's company. You were reborn on earth to love, to teach love, to sing love, and to demonstrate the excellence of love. Reborn on earth. So you were brought here to show love. Happy are those who understand the duty to help even when they themselves are in need of help. So, again, speaking from, like I said, like I just mentioned, I love those as I want to be loved. I'm in need. I may be in need of help. I may be in need of affection myself, but I understand it's a duty that even though I'm hurting, it doesn't stop me from trying to help others. I don't know how many things are out there, Boy Scouts and stuff, other things that where they teach you do a good, like Boy Scouts especially, do a good turn daily. It doesn't have a provision on it. Do a good turn unless you feel bad. No. Love others, even when you're sad, even when you're hurting. Still go and try to help others.
It's a way of healing.
It's a way of healing, yes. So, and then this is my last slide, so I got to make this real quick. But this is the other book, Full Life, from Joy and DeAngelis. As I mentioned in the panel discussion, The Empty Life came out, was published right at the very beginning of the pandemic. And Full Life just came out last year. But they go side by side. So this is the Full Life, and that's when they put it towards the end, and this one here was put it to the end. Come together as a family and sing the hymn of fraternity without borders or prejudices. Love one another. Let the light of love shine bright. Be of good cheer and give yourself over to love. As I started this lecture, and using this picture here I took at Cocoa Beach, it's got all these lovely signs pointing in different directions. Germany, UK, Tampa, Daytona, Australia, Hawaii. It's a signpost to go into all our different places. I can date myself and also say that I remember that from the TV series MASH, where they used to put the signs for where their hometowns were and how far away they were. It's a sign. That's not only just a sign of love, like love for the places you were. It's also a sign of love saying, here, all these people from all over came here to this one point to enjoy something together. It's a shared experience. So, right before we go on to our vibrations, I'm going to do something a little outside the norm. Can I ask everyone to stand up?
Okay. I thought you were gonna do that.
Let's give each other a hug.
I'm Lydia.